Welcome to Vlog Thursday number 382. I got the numbering right, I think. I think that's the right number. Welcome, everyone. We're going to jump right into things. We got a hello from Sweden. Nice. Someone's excited they can attend live from Toronto instead of Edmonton. Very cool. So welcome, everyone. And the first thing I want to start with a couple channel announcements. Now, I don't really have much I can share just yet because it's getting close to being done. We're launching a completely new store, so that is a fun venture, including redesigning shirts, redesigning. I think, what did I see? We have, is it 50 new products? Let me find out the list here. How many products are I don't know. We're going to have a lot of products in the store, so it's going to be pretty cool. It's some new takes on some of the existing ones, and I've now hired someone. I hired a full-time employee for Lawrence Systems. That is going to be their dedication, is all the back end stuff with Lawrence Systems, starting with the new store, starting with some new graphics and things like that. So there's some good things coming on that. Definitely, I think maybe one of the designs I can pull up and share. One of them I just thought was really cool. This shirt will be available pretty soon. Well, no, I can't drag that into here. I don't think I see a clear way to do that. Maybe. Oh, here we go. If I do it this way, I can do it. So we'll share a couple things that I'm working on that should show up if I do this. Let me share this tab, present, share screen. There we go. So we have the a backpack coming. We're doing a lot of cool branding stuff, but one of the shirts I'm bringing back is ones I have before, which is back that NAS up. So this shirt's coming back with a redesign. So we're doing some new takes on a lot of the shirts. So it's very similar to the way they were. They're not dramatically different, but there's a few new ones that are going to be a surprise that I really like. Those ones I'm going to hold off on. I've shared them with a couple of my friends, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool." So yeah, definitely some fun stuff coming. I just wanted to get that announced out there. I'm definitely excited about it. We can definitely do this. You have some 3D printed LTS logo stickers in orange. We can make some of those. We haven't gotten down to some of the general brand stuff. We're doing a whole run of stuff that's going to be kind of just unbranded for people who want to just get a shirt to wear, but we're also doing some cool branding ones. And we have some that's subtle, like you may not notice. And the backpack's one of the more subtle ones. I don't know if this is the final design yet that we're going to have, but it's going to be the more subtle with the LTS logos here and there. It's still some works in progress that we're working on. So yeah, magnets and stickers and all the fun stuff, even cool little beanie hats and things like that. So yes, definitely lots of stuff. Actually, bringing that up. So the Dungeons and Dragons shirt that I wear, that is from them. I'm working on a deal, though. Those are Ninja One shirts, and I'm working on a deal with Ninja One to allow me to sell and offer their shirts. That's their backup and bandwidth shirt. So I have some cool, fun ideas. I've been meeting with some of the media people at our companies where they're going to allow me to have some of the stuff in my store. We'll do some brand promotion for them and trade because they did the work on the shirt. So we're working on how the mechanics of that work out. But yes, I actually want to be able to offer those shirts as well. I really love those shirts. So definitely some fun stuff. I don't know. Oh, this comes up a lot. Looks like the WAN show logo. One of the things I like to point out, and you can go through and use the Wayback When machine. I changed my logo in 2015. And later in 2016, Linus Tech Tips. And if you look up the Linus Tech LTT logo, we'll pull it up. And there's two big differences between my logo and the LTT logo. So the LTT logo, orange, 3 letters in round. The LTS logo is usually in a hexagon. I have round icon ones, like the one that's on display at the top corner of the screen, but they did theirs a year and a half after me. Now, the reality is I did mine, the company I hired to do mine I hired a business to do this. They are a freelance company, and it was the style of the day, so to speak, to put letters like that. So it could even have been the same company that did both. I don't know who did Linus's, but it would be interesting to know if the same people did both. Definitely interesting side topic. Now, something you may love less, audience, but I will share it with you so you're hearing it from me. Yes, I will be having some sponsors. I've been working on a few deals. I'm just waiting for the first company to say yes. So there'll be a couple extra ad reads that I have. That's life. That's how we have to pay for things like full-time employees who help me do all the back end work. That's just kind of the nature of the business. All of us in YouTube have talked a lot about this because YouTube is I make less revenue now with more subscribers because of all the changes to YouTube. Some of the affiliate changes have also pushed the affiliate deals down less. So it is what it is. To supplement the losses that are from what I used to make, we're going to solve that with some advertisers. But I'm trying to do my best to avoid food service subscription companies that seem to be so popular. But I'm at least going to do some tech related things when I do advertising. That's all the companies I'm reaching out to. I had a great meeting with one today. I got a verbal yes from them, but a verbal yes isn't the same as a deposit into my bank account. So once I have a contract with deposit and bank account, then I'll actually start doing the sponsors. I'm always going to be transparent about who the sponsors are and everything else. Linode's actually dropped all their sponsorships too. So Linode has dropped some of theirs. We'll figure out who. It's not Linode's actually not even one of the people I'm reaching out to. To my knowledge, last I talked to them, they're not doing any more sponsorship stuff. They kind of built up, got their name recognition, and they sponsored a lot of YouTubers at once. And then, I don't mind ad reads as long as you keep them skippable or make them interesting. They're all going to be kind of like these 30-second or 60-second, kind of depends. I'm going to try and push always for 30-second. But I keep, even with the ad read that is for my own company, you'll notice there's a timer at the top. It's 60 seconds. It goes through. It's clearly marked ad. There's no confusion. And that's how I'm doing it. That's how I pitch it to them. Be a dropper. You may be foreshadowing at companies I've reached out to. So yeah, Ninja may be, they're one of the people I'm reaching out to as well. So yeah, it's people in the IT MSP technical space. It's a good alignment for both of us because the food companies, the food subscription companies, they're looking for large scale audiences. And I have more of a niche audience versus a video that's for the general public. The general public doesn't care about storage servers and 45 drive servers and Homelab stuff. This is a niche. You guys are an awesome audience. And I want to bring something that matters a little bit to you, like something you might actually use. So not everyone's going to like every sponsor and it's going to be the right fit for them, but at least there's some demographic that aligns. And I think it's better because I don't know. I'm also sick of listening to mattress ads and food subscription ads because it seems like every YouTuber I watch, I watch a decent amount of YouTube, and I just end up hearing a lot of pitches for the same product. Oh, look, it's another ad for insert name of some online subscription food thing. Today's video is brought to you by the freshness of this food. I don't know. On to the talk though with the UniFi stuff. And one thing I will say right up front here is I'm working on the full review for the UniFi system. And let's go ahead and bring this up on the screen. So I have the shadow mode all set up and everything else. I'm doing testing with it. Now, full disclosure about my non-disclosure. One of the things that I did in order to get access to this is I had to sign a NDA with the people over at UniFi. And all this allows me to get access to the alpha stuff. So I can't review the alpha stuff. So I'm just being very upfront about that. But that being said, what I can share is that, the things we can't talk about, you've seen other people talk about shadow mode and things like that. Hands down, easy setup. Did a great job with it. I think they're doing a good job overall with their improvements on these. So I have an upcoming video that's going to talk about the UniFi system, and I will compare it to some of the features that are still lacking. But overall, I'm going to say that they are a much better position today than they have been before. Like they've much they've done a better job of laying out some of what they're going to do. They've implemented many of the things they talked about doing from a year ago. So yeah, I think that's actually really cool. How do you feel about the UI Union Pro high availability? I'm going to deploy one soon. I mean, the reality is it's beta, but it's so far the testing's gone well. I mean, but it's still beta right now, but that means it's going to be out soon. That's kind of how I look at it. So the full, well, actually, I think it's categorized as alpha, but it's great. I think they've got a super easy, Cody and Crosstalk solutions. Cody from Telecom Networks, both of them did videos on this and showed how easy the shadow mode was. I believe there's a few more people that have released videos. I don't have all the list in my head, but yeah, the job they did with the shadow mode was great. Like, they've done a nice job of making that easy. So, hats off to them on that aspect of it. It's nothing rocket science in the background as far as like they're not doing anything weird. They're doing normal VRR. It's a VRRP with the handoff. I'll cover more technical detail when I do my video on it, just for those of you wondering what's going on behind the scenes. But yeah, it works great. So I think so. All the testing so far has gone really well. Techno Tim did a video on it as well, where he shows the failure modes on it. It works. We'll just say that. Now, overall, there's still going to be, and this is what I'm going to be critical of, based on where they are, what's available today in production is how I'm going to do my comparison video. It's not that it's a deal breaker. That's one of the things, and I had tweeted this out last time talking about the features, and I'll do like this comparison video where I walk through exactly what I would like to see. Now, it's not that it's a deal breaker for everyone. Some people go, Tom, I don't care about any of those things. Awesome. I want you to be an informed consumer when you're buying something. Like, hey, here's the extra things that I would like to see this have that I have access to. And I'm going to compare it to pfSense, but pfSense is not the only firewall that has those features. It's going to be what you can have today, what you can buy today from UniFi, what those features are, or what those features are lacking. But if those are features you don't need or features you don't use, then you're like, oh, cool. It has the features I do need and I do use. And then you can make an informed decision of whether or not it's the right thing for you. There's nothing worse than buying a product and going, oh, it doesn't have the thing I need, and I didn't really understand, because saying that it supports DNS versus does it support DNS like I need it to support DNS? Those are very different use cases of, what type of records can I put in there? How does it handle a management of DNS? Does it have, the ability, and I talked about, for example, something UniFi does not have is granular control. So they built their new admin UI to give you information about who changed what. But in UniFi compared to pfSense, you don't just know who changed what in pfSense. You also have every change as a rollback point that you can go back to. That may or may not be a deal breaker, but it is something that I think matters, especially if you have multiple admins making changes on things. You want to be able to have states and time by which you can go back to, where if you go, hey, look, so-and-so logged in and didn't do what I wanted them to do, I'd like to be able to go back and be able to put it together properly. You know what I mean? Let me turn off my phone. There we go. All right. As far as lifespan goes, one thing I'll say, we don't have a bunch of these deployed, and I don't hear much from people complaining about them dying. I mean, we've got a lot of people we consulted with the UDMs, and I have a few deployed with friends. Matter of fact, one thing I will say, there's really no question. Like, for friends and family and neighbors, if they say what firewall to get, I'm throwing in a UDM for them. One of the models, maybe one, even if it's the Express. But I will say, for home users, it's a home run. Like, there's no question of whether or not they should get it. It's like, yes, for home users, that is, and I'm talking about home users. Like, I'll use my daughter's example, who does have a Dream Machine. Her thing is she likes to game, she watches YouTube, and she does her online college courses. That is a home run for a UDM. There are no need for VPN or any advanced use cases that she has. Matter of fact, one of the things I like is the fact that you can auto update things, because then dad doesn't have to do anything. Same with my just general family members are asking me. I'm like, these are kind of a set it and just let it run. That is definitely where I think they shine. And the ones I've been told friends to install has like been great. I mean, you have a central platform already with Ubiquiti. So they've already got, matter of fact, this is nice thing. Ubiquiti came out with a centralized platform. That's something they have today. I'm going to be honest when I do the comparison, because people ask about centralized management with pfSense, but it does not. pfSense has hinted at it being released, but they've not actually given us a timeline on that, so to speak. There's a Reddit post done by one of the developers. So yes, we know it's coming, but it hasn't been like, there's not a date I can tell you that it's coming. Versus with UniFi, with UniFi, you do have the ability to do that today. That is something you can use the UI site manager to see all of your sites. So they do have it. Now, one of the problems I have with the way by the way, this is not just Ubiquiti. Ubiquiti did it this way, but so did lots of other companies, including Meraki, including your large scale companies. There's different ways you can do a portal. I actually think that Untangle, which is now owned by Arista, and I don't use those anymore, but I did like the way they did their portal. When you go into the Untangle portal, the Arista portal now, it creates essentially like a proxy connection to the firewall. That's how the portal works. So you can have telemetry data in the portal, but if you want to make changes to that firewall, there is a proxy that comes up and prompts you for username and password again. This is not how it works with Ubiquiti and many other companies. This is not a poke at Ubiquiti specifically that they're doing something that's not industry standard. This is actually pretty common. The control plane for Ubiquiti also has a set of keys to each of the devices. That is not my favorite way to do this. I really don't know how they're going to handle it with pfSense when they roll theirs out, but having an extra set of keys, so the control plane that you log into, so it authenticates you against their site manager controller, but their site manager controller also has a set of keys that allows them into all the machines. Therefore, all you have to do is authenticate once and easily move between all the machines. The downside is this makes that company, and don't get me wrong, Ubiquiti's, like any company, they're always being poked at. They have a good security team, but that also means that they're a popular place to be poked at, because if you get into there, you can then pivot to all of the firewalls. By the way, this is true for Meraki too. So Meraki and many other companies all do it this way. It's not a Ubiquiti poke. This is the way a lot of industry devices work. So just something you have to take into consideration. Yeah, pfSense is working on multi-site management. We monitor pfSense systems with Auvik. It's a commercial tool. Yeah, I should get them as a sponsor. I've certainly mentioned their name a handful of times when people ask. So, yeah. These I'll just kind of address a unusual comment. Netgate still has TNSR, so I'm not really sure how you say they killed it. Wendell mentioned NAT table size recently. Do you think ISP routers can be limited in a business environment? I don't recommend ISP routers in a business environment. We don't recommend it as a company, as CNWR. We want something that's at least somewhat manageable, and if that's just a Ubiquiti or whatever, that's fine. So yeah, I don't really like them. Oh, they charge money for their stuff. That's what you're complaining about. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, the whole let's see if I can share this here. Do I have it so I can pull it up? I am working on. I think I can share this. Yes. I don't have any easy solutions for this. I get it that people don't want to pay money for stuff. But I'm not defending the decision. I just don't know the better solution. This is going to be kind of small. This is a video I'm working on. Open source firewall history. These are just a bunch of all dead open source, well, mostly dead open source firewall projects, except for the two at the end here. And I guess Vios is still alive. That's a live one. It's a fork of Viata, but there's a reason so many of these are dead. And it's just one of those things. It's hard to run a firewall company because of the complexities of it. And yeah, it's just a wild ride of all these companies that all started in all these popular firewall projects. This is not an exhaustive list of them. These are actually all ones that I probably had some interaction with at some time. So some of these date through my, 25-year history. Because I remember running, I think it was, I couldn't find it. I think it was called Linux. Linux Mandrake Firewall was a thing for a little while before IPCOP. So I used to run some of these firewalls in the early days of firewall. So I'm going to kind of put together a video walking through the history, but it's all these projects have really not been sustainable. And then people complain about the price of it. I was like, the number, when you start looking at the number of employees that work at Netgate and the number of people that are just dedicated to donating code upstream to BSD, it's a hell of a payroll to hold on to of developers. How do you pay them? And give away PFSense for free. You sell hardware and then people complain that your hardware is overpriced. What's the other solution? Like people like, oh, I only want to give, like, I want to buy a lifetime subscription for $100. Okay. What do you do when you have a dozen people making over $100,000 a year? Because developers don't come cheap. That $100 isn't, it becomes a real challenge. That's all. I don't know the answer. That's why I like to put, I know something needs to come up, but this is one of the problems we're seeing overall with open source. There's certainly times when people are just being greedy. I want to argue that does not exist. But when you look at some of the small contributors out there that are making some big impact, love or hate Netgate, that is a thing. They're contributing about 8% of the upstream BSD stuff. That is documented, and you start diving into the nuances of it. You're like, okay, there's quite a bit of code commits that are very firewall relevant to BSD. If Netgate stops doing that, who's going to pick up the slack? There's not a magical person that will just go, oh, if no one pays these guys, they'll still do it because, they'll do it from the box they live in, homeless, just keep writing code. At some point, developers go, I guess I have a job. Right now, they're lucky enough to have a job that pays them to donate to BSD. I don't know. It's a lot. I know. Yeah, good old IPCOP. Someone asked what app this is. I might do a video on it just because I talk about it so much. Oh, Tab Geeks. Also, they did. He's a friend of mine. He's check out his channel. He's got a new video on the UniFi system as well. But this app is it's called. It's my second brain, but these are all my journals, how I come up with things. And this is what it looks like on the back end. Oh yeah. Here's the temporary passwords I set. Don't worry. They've all been changed because this is for the demo videos. And before I tear it down, I don't want to save them on password manager. So they just get saved right here. So don't worry. I'm aware that you see what are the passwords I have. I just use different password generators that generate them. But this is a tool I use called Logseq, and it's how I manage like keeping all of my knowledge straight for things, for whatever it is I'm working on. So even personal things as well, details for like my here's the Ace Magic review. I've been working on this video for a long time, since February of 2004, which is a passkey video, and it's because I have a spicy opinion that people don't seem to have on passkeys, but I'm actually starting to see more people have the same opinion as me that passkeys is failing and it's not a great idea. And there's some flaws in it. So yeah, there's, I have an updated passkey video coming on. UDM Pro Max seems to be targeting enterprise, not home users. Do security features match the enterprise requirements? Well, that's a fuzzy one. And that's what I'll kind of cover because it becomes fuzzy. Not easy to say that, because what does enterprise mean? How do you define it? What's that target market? Can it work? Yes. Does it work for your enterprise? does the Saracata version they're using underneath in UniFi match what you need? The reality is it's not that effective, but insurance companies require it. Or do you have an insurance company that requires you have the ET open rules added on there? And I know of right now, there's not any way to put those into UniFi to do the paid rule subscriptions. So that it's not an easy answer. It's not an easy one to answer. Well, passkeys is kind of a renamed for some of the web. This is the nuance of it, is the naming schema is passkeys is kind of like a better branding. I actually like the name better, but I don't like from a security standpoint, there's a lot of good things, but there's a lot of nuance that gets missed. And the reality is these companies and their lock-in, specifically Apple and Google, have broke it. They've broke the concept of it so badly that I don't think it's creating the good user experience. So it's just becoming, like someone said here, they both use the 502 passkey are the same, but there's so much of this stuff. Well, that's the thing. It all depends on the site implementation of whether or not it's 2FA or MFA. There's actually different levels, and that's where it gets confusing. Do you want to use and store a passkey for your only authentication, or is it username plus passkey, or is it username, password, passkey as a 2FA? Now you see how there's a lost in translation, because why is it that hard to explain? We already know user password 2FA token. Now we have, well, it can be your only token. The problem is if it's your only token, it's not 2FA at all. It's you logged into site with the passkey. And so if someone gets a hold of your passkey, they have your total login, not a second factor. Now you can see the problem. Yeah, Steve Gibson read that letter too. I read it. Steve Gibson read it. Yeah, I listened to Steve Gibson rant on, because it's the same. It's the guy from Rust. He dropped that letter, and I'm like, yeah, that is finally somebody's being rational about this. And I figured this is what would happen once I seen Google and Apple going full on lock into users. I'm like, they're gonna just wreck this. They don't see it as a solving a security problem. They see it as, I can lock you into my walled garden. And Apple said the same thing after Google said it. They both go, this is an opportunity for lock-in, right? It's not about security. It's about you being tied to my ecosystem and under my control. And that's the problem. That's where these systems are incredibly broken because of that. Matter of fact, there's a term for this. Let me read it. Let's see here. Yes. Bruce Schneier coined the term feudal security to describe big tech's offer. Move into my fortress, lock yourself into my technology, and I'll keep you safe from all the marauders lowing the land. Yes, that's the quote from Bruce Schneier, massive, awesome security guy, and definitely leads into enshittification. That's ultimately what happened to this in the end, is the enshittification of it by them. But it's the drive for product lock-in. So Bruce Schneier's feudal security. And yes, it's all related. We're going to lock you in, keep you in, you're a captive audience. Feudal. Let me find where I can share this. So I'm going to find the link. I'll drop the link for everyone. He's got a lot. I mean, I did a short summary, but for those of you that want to read through Bruce Schneier's complete rant on this topic. Yeah, line must go up. Yes, I use Syncthing with Logseq. It works wonderful. I think Logseq is awesome. I'm a huge fan of it for sure. I've been using it for a little while. Yeah, Bruce Schneier's awesome. Corey Doctorow's awesome. there are a few of the people I follow, keep track of, keep up with the goings on. I got to meet Bruce Schneier before. I've got to meet Corey Doctorow before. They're both people that I really admire. They got a lot of good stuff to say. All right, moving on before I go on some other rant. If you didn't see this, what is it? Yeah, I think this is the next thing in here. 45 drives add Linux power mini PCs workstation to the growing compute lineup. This is a few days ago. I think this is kind of neat. 45 drives, they're not trying to be the mass producer, by the way. So let's be clear. And they're not going to be the cheapest people out there. That's not the game they're playing in. They're building a high quality piece of hardware. Specifically, like today, I got to finish the review of this. I keep saying that a lot, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But I'm still using this. This thing is awesome. The 45 drives Homelab server. And I think they just did a great job with it. And I like that they're getting into a few other spots. The challenge, of course, is figuring out some of that market, but I think there's a market for this. I don't know what the price is going to be on the new thing. I don't think they've announced the price on this yet. Well, you're not their audience if you think it's overpriced. It's like they should just make a sign that says, and this is, I'm going to put this in my video, like, if you're looking for a cheap product, stop watching this video and head over to Amazon. Head over to Alibaba. Sorry, I'm not the cheap product review person here for this product, or we're not the cheap product producers, what 45 drives should say. There's people who are looking for deals. I get it. And if you don't have the budget for some of the other stuff, then absolutely. I mean, go for the thing that works for you. But the 45 drives playing in that nicer space, a lot of the people I know, especially people well onto their career in tech, this is who they're targeting, who go, I have a few dollars and I want something fancy. It's not about just trying to, they do have this on their website. I don't know if they have this one on their website yet. Let's see if that's on there. Oh, it is. Sweet. So, yep, they are enterprise client, enterprise workstation. No, they are working away at it. The info is under Homelab store under deposits. So where's that at? Either way, my thing I want to talk about with 45 drives though is they're doing a lot of work right now on a lot of different fronts, and they just did a talk. Does 45 drives have a solution for make their storage available for mobile users? Not really. They're not in the software game like that. They're in we make software to manage the hardware, but we're not Synology making a sharing app. That's where there's kind of a dividing line, if you will. The software they engineer, Linux software to help manage their storage servers, does not necessarily mean like mobile storage for apps. But that being said, you can use open source tools like Syncthing. And matter of fact, speaking of Logseq and Syncthing, so we can pull this up. Oops. Make sure mine's all in sync. Cool, up to date. I don't open Logseq on my phone very often. But there it is. It's kind of hard to see probably. There we go. Accidentally highlighted something. You can, with Syncthing, sync files to your phone. And that's how I do all my file synchronization. Syncthing is awesome. I want to do an updated video on it. But one of the other things I do, I'll share this tab here. Tom's Pixel. The Syncthing syncs to my Pixel phone and my computer. So the moment I'm taking any photos on my phone, they're immediately available. Or actually, I shoot some of the B-roll and stuff like that for videos. Occasionally, because this is handy, I'll grab some snapshot off my phone. It immediately syncs to a specific folder that's on my computer as well as on my NAS, so I can just grab it and use it in a video and things like that. So yeah, Syncthing is awesome. Yes, they do support end-to-end encryption as well. I have a question about I have 6 Samsung 870 Evo 500 discs of RAID 0 hardware. Would like to create Proxmox with it. I want to take snapshots against, and I fail when I play. What do you suggest? I mean, ZFS is what I would go with. ZFS supports all the snapshots on there. I don't know if I'll do a video on Immich or not. I don't use it is the problem. It doesn't look like it's a good fit for what I do. That would be probably what I would say is a challenge. Like, it's a pretty neat, but I don't know if I do a video. There it is. For those not familiar, it's a pretty neat app. I like the fact that they actually have Google Play Store, but maybe I'll play with it and get a better impression of it. It just feels too limited compared to, I do use, and I hate it. I know someone's like, but Tom, you're using Google Photos for things. Yeah, I am, but man, does the object recognition work really well. It's hard to give up something once you've kind of been spoiled. All I have to do is surrender my data to Google using the Google Photos app. It's neat, but I don't know. I don't know. It's not something that to me, there's a lot of talk about. Like, cool. It's a self-hosted photo and video management solution. Features, automatic backup over Wi-Fi. So, I mean, this is kind of cool, but this is the part where it's still too basic with the facial recognition and things like that. I don't know. And maybe when this comes out of experimental, the machine learning stuff, so it gets better to manage this, maybe it's worth doing a video on, but it's not something I use that often. So has it been pretty good for it? Maybe I'll look at it for that. So yeah, it's kind of a struggle between easy to use functional service and privacy. I absolutely agree. I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a poke. I've had a few people ask me about it. It looks pretty cool. I think even Chris Moore, head of the development over at TrueNAS, he tagged me and asked me about it. Linus mentioned one in one of his videos. It was a very expensive commercial product that he was talking about. So I currently don't have a netbox system in production, so I don't have an answer for that. Has the AI gold rush affected your business? I mean, I have a video where we talk about people buying one of those AI servers. So, I mean, are we making money off of it? I mean, we'll install AI systems. So if someone wants to buy one, we sold like $100,000 server with a bunch of the NVIDIA cards in it for processing machine learning stuff and AI things. So affected, I'll admit we're using the tools. We just me and Jason, we're going to do it on the Business Technicalities channel. We have a whole slide deck we put together. We did a talk on AI in person, and we're going to do, it's focused on business use cases for AI. And we cut through the overhype of AI, but we talk about the useful things that AI does. So yeah, I definitely am going to talk about some of that stuff. And I do have, my llama here. So I do have a llama setup I've been testing out, and I mean, it's got its usefulness. It's overhyped, but sometimes it's useful. Syncthing end-to-end encryptions, and no, you're misunderstanding about there's two different types of encryption. There's blind, there's having essentially like a blind spot where me and you can set up a sync, but we want a third party to hold it as well. You can set it up so a third party can have encryption. The transport layer, I think ever since the beginning, at least for years, but probably since the very beginning of Syncthing, the transport layer has always been wrapped in security. So the transport layer of sending data, what was in beta, thing, I can't remember what it's called. The untrusted devices. So it's untrusted devices that are in beta, but not the what do you call it? So it's not the transport layer. It's having an extra untrusted device. I've tested this and it works fine. I've actually used this quite a bit. I've never had a problem with it. But the transport layer itself is always been, as far as I know, ever since I've used the product, it's always been secure. Yeah. See, what me and Wendell have talked several times, along with Jay, and we all kind of we know where AI is useful. We know where AI is overhyped. And our job is not to make the line go up. Line must go up. That's the problem with the other companies. So, yeah, it's not going to become set. Matter of fact, one of the things we talk about, let me find my slide deck. See how many of my friends here understand it. Let's see if we switch here to the team. Is this the one? Here we go. See who gets, we'll see who, can I hit present? Where's the present option? Presentation, teams, magic, project, brand. I do not know where the present is. Yeah, whatever. I'll just share the screen. Does it understand? No, it does not understand. This is one of the slides from our talk. So yeah, it does not understand. And Jason didn't get the slide. It bothered me because I mean, I think there's enough of you that know what this is from, but maybe I'm old and I know what that show. I know exactly what that scene was in that particular movie. But it does not think when you're not asking questions. AI is a fad, not quite good enough to make itself better to the point where it can take over, and it's going to destroy some jobs. Corporation are going to see the line go down. Fad, I don't know if it's hard to describe it exactly as a fad. I think it still has some useful features. We talked about like the hallucination, predictive feature or fixable bug. What are AI hallucinations? And I don't think they can fix this. So yeah. That's one hell of an old reference. Yes, it is. I don't think enough people have, it's finally enough people haven't seen this movie. And I think it's great. So now I want to rewatch it. Been forever. I mean, I'll admit myself, it has been forever since I watched that movie. It came out a very, very long time ago. But this movie is probably still what people are citing that think it's going to become sentient. It's not. I would hope that local AI can just summarize my unstructured notes and documentation. You know, only because I don't think it's probably a good fit for the audience. Don't get me wrong. I think everything, I mean, I have an absolute ton of memes I've been sharing and everything else about Kaseya. I like making fun of Kaseya. I have no problem making fun of Kaseya. I just don't think this audience knows. There's a small subset of the audience know why it's so much fun to make fun of Kaseya. Where is my memes I was sharing? I'll pull some up. But yeah, you follow me online, Brandon. You've been in my other socials. You'll see me making fun of Kaseya. Where did I drop all the memes? So I'm not going to spend much time on Kaseya. So, I mean, yes, $3.99 blue light special. Yes, absolutely. Too long didn't read. AI makes professional people more productive and unfamiliar people commit more mistakes. Well, and that's actually the problem, is the fact that it confidently tells you, so it comes up with ideas that aren't always correct, but it tells you, if you ask it for this is an example I gave, asking it for 5 quotes from a book. 4 of the quotes are from the book. The 5th one sounded like it was from the book. It is something the author said, not in that book. Why did it do that? It's the same, all the jokes people have about the confidence level you have in it. And this is actually where there's a big problem with AI in terms of using it for predictable outcomes. Computers are very deterministic. This is input, output, ones and zeros. We can't have different answers that are for very predictive solutions. This makes it less reliable, especially if it's reading my notes and it misreads something from my notes and then has me committing a bigger mistake. My friend has a whole thing, and I wish he'd do a write-up on it. He had it write a program that was supposed to, he was trying to test it for coding. It went off on a weird tangent to write his software for the Windows cleanup section. It actually came up with the idea to delete every folder that wasn't named Windows. It just decided that was the best approach to cleaning up the hard drive. It's like, that's not right. Yeah. And it can only combine code it's already seen. And when it's seen a lot of garbage code, well, here we are. Garbage in, garbage out. Yes. There's a lot of challenges with it. I wonder if Syncthing will fit my needs, where I want to sync my family's files of their devices to my NAS. Will it work? Sure. I think, though, it will not work on iPhone. I don't know if someone said there's a way to make it work on iPhone. They don't seem to have an official iPhone app, though. So the question is, does your family have iPhone? That's the part that probably matters. But like I said, Syncthing's pretty cool. I need to do a new video on it because it's been a few years. I've been using it now for like 7 or 8 years, and super happy with it. It works, like I said, it's how I synchronize. If you noticed inside all of this in the Syncthing that we have here, which I actually have a few things I need to get rid of. But yeah, all my business docs, people ask me like, hey, why aren't you using insert name of whatever? Like Nextcloud. Why? I just need files. I don't need a cloud-enabled file system. I synchronize my systems together. So whether it's my laptop or my desktop or any other computer I may have that I want access to my documents on, this syncs up my documents directory and it syncs up my graphics directory. Done. That's as simple as it is. I don't need this. I still use OpenOffice for all of these things. Matter of fact, I have a whole directory of manuals. So if I need a manual for one of the things, or I need to save those somewhere, I don't go, oh, let me index this in the cloud app. I just save them and give them names related to what they are. It's really as simple as that. Does Syncthing work on recent QNAP versions? I don't ever use QNAP because they're kind of a security nightmare, so I can't answer that question. I just don't know. The versioning is definitely really cool. Syncthing is absolutely awesome with versioning and all the bells and whistles. Yes. I think. Yeah, I don't have file versioning turned on here, but I do have it turned on. Let me find somewhere I have it turned on. Is it on this system? There we go. Continue. There we go. So here's it running on my TrueNAS, but you can see the file revisions for things that were changed. So here's like a filter for the different versions of this. It's probably not. I don't do much in the graphics folder, as you can tell. There'll be a whole lot of changes in here. Yeah, these all get changed. So, yep. the file and also all the different devices. It's kind of cool because you can have it syncing between all the different locations at once. And then you have revisions, and then on top of that, I have snapshots running on these. So I actually have there's my MacBook Air, my phone, and 2 different TrueNASs at different locations. So these are synced at 2 different locations, and each of these has a snapshot thing going for them. And then on top of that, those snapshots are replicated across 2 different TrueNASs. I thought about doing that as a video, talking about how you make data maps to know where all your data is and everything that's synchronized between them. You basically draw it out to say, here's all the servers, here's the locations, here's a crisscross of where all the data syncs. So I know where all the data is as a reference. Yeah, I won't lie. I use the Synology photo app. I like that one. That's one of the reasons I haven't really switched to something like Immich. The Synology one, I know it's not open source, and I know it's locked into Synology. I'll call me out on that for using something that's a lock-in, but boy, does it just work. The app backs up, all the files are where I want them to be, and yeah. I like the Synology a lot. They just make such a simple product that just kind of gets the job done. That's my feelings on Synology. So let's talk about that. That's actually a fun topic. We can jump in real quick here. I'm not running anything that's alpha, so I don't have. Where is the latest? It's easier. I think if I Google it, it might be faster. 24.10. Can I find those yet? I need to find the electric eel. Where do they put this? I'll find it by searching. TrueNAS electric eel. There we go. Now I can pull this up. So these features are going to be coming in 24.10. These are anticipated features, very early, very early. I don't even know if there's a nightly release of this yet, but some of the improved deduplication features, this won't be coming out till late this year. So they are working on it, but it's not here yet. And I have not gone to the nightly's alpha releases. This is early road of their new. I'll drop a link to this for people wondering. It's the new electric eel. That's what the new 24.10 electric eel is going to be called. Do you activate Windows shadow copies? A friend wants me to believe it only takes 80 gig for 4 snapshots a day for a 30-day, 2.5 did fire share. Even though it changes should have to more. I don't run Windows, so I don't know. I have the shadow copies that I use on TrueNAS for people that are using Windows, but I don't run Windows every day, so I really don't know how much data Windows uses every day. I quit running Windows in like 2009. My company supports people running Windows. We have thousands of clients running Windows that we support. I'm not involved in that. I haven't been for a while because I don't like Windows. I get involved in like server and solution design, but as far as like, I'm kind of lost if you put me on a Windows workstation. I'm kind of like, why is the buttons in the wrong spot? Why isn't this Linux? Why is this so clunky? Why does Windows Update take so long? Then I'm usually just aggravated saying this is dumb a lot. So I don't know how to answer your VSS question. What else did I have? I think I'm reaching the end of the things I had to talk about here. I am trying to figure out a few other things I want to do. One of them is, and I shared this, and let me pull it up again. This was kind of fun, and I plan to continue doing this. Working with my friend Ray over at OIT, and is one thing he's known for. The other thing Ray's known for is he's been working on the MSP Media Network and MSP live show. So let me pull this up as well. But this is a live show I did because I want to do some news, but news is not exactly a fit for my channel to do like a regular news thing. But I like doing the news and running through some of the latest stuff. And I have a newsletter for those of you that didn't know. So if you want to subscribe to my newsletter, you can find it over at lawrencesystems.com. But also, why not do I think every other week, a live show for, talking about the things and topics I like to cover. So yeah, that's something. If you're interested, you can check it out. Let me just share the link to this one, but you can subscribe to the MSP Media Network. I'll share a link to specifically this show. I mean, I know how to use a mouse, but not in Windows. I am very mouse limited, and I don't know where things are in Windows. Did you ever make a video looking out for starting at an MSP as an employee? I don't think we have, but that might be a fun topic for Business Technicalities. I don't know if it's a good topic for my main channel here, but that's probably a good business topic. Like, hey, so you want to work at an MSP? What's it like to work at an MSP? Because we would cover the business topics. There's not really a cookie cutter answer though for the tech side of it, because when you work for an MSP, it depends. We can go over the tooling and some of the acronyms, but we can't really get technical because it varies dramatically from company to company. But I think it might be a good business talk. It's a fun topic. There's a lot you learn working at an MSP because you work with such a large variety of things. I'll bring this up because this is pretty cool. And I'm sure someone's going to be excited. I haven't tested it. I only built it, like in terms of like I compiled the latest version. They now have the first beta release of PCI pass-through through the UI here. I haven't really played with it to see how it all works. I need to sit and play with it, but hey, check it out. The team over at Zen Orchestra has finally got pass-through that they're working on here. Once I do some testing on it, I'll definitely be doing a video on this. It's cool though. I'm thrilled they added this here, because people have been asking for this quite a bit, to be able to have easy pass-through for devices, and they just had to expose some elements in the UI to make this kind of a thing. So I'm definitely excited about that. I think I've got all my systems updated. Let's see. I got to pop some cards into it so I can test some pass-through. Pretty cool, though. Oh, something's wrong with some reason. It's not option. Maybe this one needs to be rebooted. Oh, it doesn't have access DOM 0. Hey, there's something I have to do to enable it. Yeah, MSPs are great, but only if they have enough people. This is kind of the challenge with the MSP spaces. There's as many, well, I'm going to say there's definitely more people, because the nature of people, they will complain about something before they'll say something nice. So there's plenty of happy people working at MSPs. There are certainly people who want to get on Reddit and get upvoted for describing what a disaster their MSP is. It's like competitive at this point. And I don't doubt a lot of them are probably very right that there's some grindy, crappy, you're just here to solve tickets in a disorganized, chaotic way, MSPs out there. Definitely lots of them. So yes, it's going to be a mess if you go into the MSP space and land at the wrong place. But then again, that's not any different than any other job. I myself, in my early days, before I before I was working for myself, which has now been over 20 years now, there was definitely like crappy places I worked. There's one of my impetus to say I want to work for me is because I worked for places that were bad, that were, oh man, there's like those crazy stories. One of the places I worked, our paycheck bounced, and I was like, the paycheck bounced, and the guy's like, oh yeah, you got to get to the bank fast because sometimes there's not enough money in there. So those of us that cash the check first get paid. I'm like, I don't think that's how it's supposed to work. That's not how. That isn't how my understanding. I was very young at the time. I think I was only like 17, and I'm like, I don't think that's how this works. I don't think you're supposed to like have to get to the bank first. Is it? Is this the real world? And then I watched one of the older and longer time employees chase the owner around the building, threatening to kill him because his paycheck bounced. It was entertaining, but I also quit that job because I wanted to get paid. And I mean, the entertainment part almost made you want to stay because there was always another crazy thing happening at this company. But at some point, you get sucked into the chaos of it. So I worked there for 3 weeks, and then I have a number of stories that I can't believe I only worked there for 3 weeks for the number of stories I have. Of working there. It's like I scratch my head. I'm like, yeah, how is it that I only worked for this place for this long and there's this much crazy? Like every other day was some other egregious crazy thing happening at the place. So yes, I've definitely worked for bad places that didn't even be in. They were in a computer shop, but they weren't. They were just all bananas. It takes a little bit of crazy to want to start a company, I think. They had crazy, lots of crazy, plenty of crazy, but that's life. I don't have them listed as, I didn't actually list all the places I worked. But if you go over to the, on my site, I did put together, because a lot of people ask this, I'm going to embed a video at the bottom where I just talk about it, but I do have a timeline for me doing things. And, first tech job was in 1995. So, and I worked for a couple different places. I bounced, I was at one place for like the one place 3 weeks. Then I went to another place that wasn't too far away. I was there for maybe 8 months, 6 months. And then I landed from like 96 till 98 is when I got an actual sysadmin job. So somewhere in those 3 years, I worked for 3 or 4 different computer places on there. But yeah, I started outlining all this, and man, it took some double checking of accuracy to go back to 1986. But I put all that together. I went through notes. I still have like receipts and things like that. I'm not a hoarder, but I do keep certain milestone things, especially because I digitized a lot of them to go through them. So. XCP-ng is interesting, but native Veeam support is holding me back. I need applicationware backup. So I'm on VMware and need to switch to something else. Yeah, we're choosing XCP-ng. That's what we're moving things to. And we're also using Veeam at CNWR. Our solution is we use Veeam backups in the VMs natively. Even though it doesn't currently speak directly to XCP-ng, it works. It gets the job done. Could you open? That's tricky now because there's a little bit less of it. The list would be like I still use for Lawrence Systems, not the IT company, but the media company, if you will, that produces YouTube videos. We're still using Invoice Ninja. There are no more. There's much. I mean, I use TrueNAS, pfSense. Those are big ones out there. Graylog, but it starts whittling down. We use a series of commercial tools for all the other stuff at CNWR. So there's not much in the way of open source that's just scalable, with the exceptions of like TrueNAS and pfSense. I mean, technically I use my website's built with WordPress. That's open source. So I guess it's kind of the dividing line of what does or does not run the company. Yeah, Proxmox is fine. The thing we like about XCP-ng is I know how large it scales. And it's very manageable at large scale. This is one of the reasons we like it. It's one, our relationship with the team over at Vates is really good. We're a partner, we're an official reseller of them. So we have a good business relationship, which is important. There has to be some money involved in order to get the proper support to keep development of the product going, to be able to sell licenses to our clients. So they're all, so they can have support packages. We backstop those support packages. So we've got, when you buy it through us or have us manage your XCP-ng servers, as we are for clients, along with their stack, it's a solid system for all of that enterprise level support. I feel Proxmox, although a solid product, they just kind of went a different but really cool route. The cool thing about Proxmox, they bake a lot into the system, and the way they offer support, they really push people into their forums as kind of a central way to have support. I don't think that's a terrible idea. I think it's a way you can definitely scale with the community. It's one of the ways TrueNAS offers a lot of their general support for the things. That's great. It's for a virtualization platform, I think they've done a great job. They're both good. I don't really have a complaint. I just know the overall, like, we have some large thousands of virtual machine clients at scales really well in XCP-ng. Like, if someone says, matter of fact, I think we got our fingers crossed. I mean, we have a bid together to get someone off of VMware and move to XCP-ng. This bid is over $600,000. That is the type of scale that some of these operate at. And this is not the first one. We have another company that I'm still doing consulting with for other projects that we help them move their infrastructure at that same scale over. We've actually had numerous success stories, and the support has been great. So one of those, that's why we like it so much. Kind of that proven track record thing. Will XCP provide a default web console in the future? Oh yeah, they're working on right now. It'll be out later this year. Is the XCP-ng's XO Lite? Where did it go? It's in. They have more announcements. So yeah, XO and XO6 and XO Lite. So XO Lite's going to be their native web console. That's going to come built in, and then you're going to be able to have the full Zen Orchestra or Zen Orchestra Lite to kind of get started with it. If XCP install was easier, more natural of a single node, yeah, I mean, it works as a single node. You can. Yeah, XO Lite is probably going to be more akin to the console. Yes. For XCP to take off, I need to browse the IP, upload an ISO, install a VM on the host right out of the box. Yeah, you do have to do some steps right now to do that. They'll get there for that. Oh, as for the business side of LTS, something similar to QuickBooks. I still use KMyMoney for my books. So that hasn't changed. That runs my books, not the ones for CNWR. So I'm still this tool is great. I will tell you, this is like a hidden gem for doing accounting stuff. It's still being maintained. Now, when's the latest version? I know there's been updates. 2022. The updates are slow, but that's okay because it doesn't need to be that many updates for it. Accounting isn't changing that fast. They're not like rapid development and changing things. It's one of those, it's reached a pretty mature status of all my ledgers are in there and imports from different bank accounts. There we go. It's reached the features that we want. Therefore, people are happy. Matter of fact, I don't want them breaking things. I have like 10 years of accounting in this. I don't want it to accidentally break or have a update release that just goes crazy. They do like looks about every other year they do an update. So yeah, I'm happy with it. If you're trying to do Syncthing from Windows Machine to TrueNAS, yes, you need Syncthing on each device. This is how Syncthing works. It's not I sync with what you tell me. Syncthing syncs to Syncthing. Therefore, each location needs to have a copy of Syncthing. The remote locations, the local locations, your Windows computer, your TrueNAS, and then it has its own protocol, so you don't have to establish any type of connection other than a Syncthing connection between those devices. Yeah, I mean, the reality is that the clients using XCP-ng, I mean, they're not worried about ISO uploads. They have full SANs. They have a whole bunch of VMs already created, and they just shuffle them around. They just bring hosts into the pool and eject hosts out of the pool as they need to retire them. I mean, they're running, what I think they have like 2,000 VMs in one of the pools. So they're not worried about it. Matter of fact, they just clone all of their VMs as needed for their product and deployments. So they have a kind of a template set up on there. So you want to say so you want to say that XCP will be a one-line, no fancy CLI. That's kind of what they're going for. They will have it that way for the most part. If you do the paid version of XOA, the XOA deployment, you can do the free version of XOA. It just is more limited. Their auto deploy for that has gotten really slick. And that keeps getting better. Yeah, actually, you can do that with Syncthing. One of the things you may have look at with right here is the devices can be set up to talk to each other. So they can talk to each other. So essentially, you can build it like a mesh, and it does have conflict resolution where it renames the file. If both are offline, you change the file in two different ways. It'll have a conflict version of the file that everyone gets a copy of. You can. So let's see here. You can do from URL and choose a storage. Actually, I need wrong one. That one doesn't have it set up. Say from URL. There we go. This is I was clicking on the wrong thing. There we go. So you can pull in ISOs from URL. That is a feature. It's kind of more. It's not like a self-healing auto path traversing mesh. It's like all these talk to each other, and all of them are in sync with each other. But yeah, so this is a feature if you need that. The VMware import stuff is pretty cool too. This is getting a lot more popular right now. They've been working on, there's a couple different ways to do it, and they're working on that quite a bit. Yeah, Proxmox networking is very different than XCP-ng networking. There's no doubt about that. Proxmox networking, it's Linux networking. It's just not all exposed to the UI. So there's sometimes command line things you may have to do. It's also not as friendly at how they do it versus XCP-ng has I think an easier way to manage all of the networking on there, kind of I think the UI to me is a little more clear, but it also could be because I've used XCP-ng so much more over the years that the UI is more clear. I wish I was stating coding so I could write a front end for people to register and pay their service and my Proxmox server provision their server. There's all kinds of software out there that does it. that there's like a bunch of hosting frameworks. I don't work in that space, so I don't know what. I know there's frameworks for it. I don't know who sells them or what good ones or bad ones are. Is there a good way to back up folders and sync between local devices in the cloud too, like Google Drive, OneDrive? There's probably tools out there for it, but I don't sync things between OneDrive and Google, so that's not something I've really looked into. I use a naming convention in the comment section of Proxmox for networking. Proxmox for networking. It helps a lot. Still have the new SDN type. Yeah, the close all these because there's too many open. When you go and look in our lab or production, look at the pool, we'll look at the lab. It's easy in here because we have lab 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, all the way up to lab 110. This allows us, when we're doing things like pfSense, to easily swap these between any of the labs very quickly. To me, this is a nice way to do this inside of pfSense. It just kind of makes sense. What's the other thing I was going to look up? Like here's a Pop OS instance I needed that had. I needed different network interfaces in different spots. So like I attached right now, these are actually behind the UniFi Dream machines. So I can just attach them to any lab I want. They're currently attached to lab 110. And then on the back end, this ties up to our UniFi and I can reassign all those ports for any lab. Lab 105, I'm sorry, not lab 110. So it's easy to move things around like that. I think they just do a nice job of it. But that's me doing it versus, yeah. Been testing a new PCI pass-through package. It's an orchestra integration. It works great, even though it's still only in their candidate repos. Yeah, it's pretty cool looking so far. But yeah, it's pretty neat. I like where they're going with it. I also like some of the little things, like the little copy to clipboard everywhere. I like that everything's controlled by UUIDs. Watch my admin tips video on XCP-ng. It shows you a lot of that little nuance that's pretty cool in there. So yeah, the console menu, and once you start learning the command line on XCP-ng, it's pretty cool. Hey, thank you, William. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for that. Donations always welcome. All right. What else did you have questions about, people? I think I covered everything in the thing here. So, and I'm out of water and it's nice out, and I'm probably going to go spend a few minutes outside. You know, something I'm going to mention too. Actually, I should open it, make sure it still works. I just was adding to the list in here. There we go. The if you wonder what kind of gaming Tom does, or you can't tell by the song, everyone knows that song. This is the one thing I don't want to review it because it's not a fit for my channel, but this is the Retroid Pocket. These things are cool. I gotta admit, the more I play with it, it's been kind of I wanted to focus and relax. I wanted 100% Mario World. So that's, if people ask me if I game, and I'm like, yeah, sometimes, usually that. Yeah, it's yep, it's really nice today, and it's supposed to rain the next few days, so I'm going to be outside touching grass as soon as this is over. I'm thinking about building my own TrueNAS system. Should I start with Kobe or Dragonfish? Definitely Dragonfish. I would definitely start with the latest. I don't know any reason not to. How's the IT employment market these days in the US? There's demand for talent, I guess. I'm not an expert on that aspect. You game like a classic Linux guy from the basement. Yes, I do. And for anyone wondering, not an affiliate link or anything like that, but for anyone wondering the actual link to the device that I was holding, it's this one here. So, well, it's not this particular model. I had which one was I holding? The version 3. There's mine with the clear purple. I thought I bought the purple because it was on sale, but it's sold out now. But these things are cool if you're into that. The downside is they run Android, which makes it a little bit more of a headache for retro stuff. It's not that it just takes more instruction, but you can figure it out if you are determined. I don't use TrueCharts, so I don't know. I heard they fixed it. It was broken in the beta, but I believe before the release came out, they fixed it. Double check with the people at TrueCharts. These are the important things. YXB, those being the buttons in the correct order. Do you know when 8.3 will be released? Really soon here, because it is really close to release. You and the other company ever want to expand out beyond Chicago? Well, we do consulting all over the world. So do we need a physical presence in Chicago is the question. I don't know. For each new location, there becomes a lot of tax implications of having physical people in that location. So I don't know. It kind of depends. If there's some alignment that makes it worthwhile to have, like if we had enough concentration or we were to do an acquisition of an existing company in another market, sure, we could move into that market. But just wanting to open another location to establish a foothold, that's expensive and not really on our target at all, because 99% of our tickets are solved remotely. So when we do these out of town or out of our driving area type of work, those are pretty much that we either have a resource that is really close that we already know, maybe we've got a partnership with a friend, but many of the times they're co-managed IT where there's an internal IT staff doing the physical part, and we're helping them with some of the other lift, such as cybersecurity, managing servers, etc. So we're doing our part, and there may be some internal people that do some of the local management. So that's usually how we handle the offsite ones, or out of our area ones, I should say, because we got clients. We have a handful of clients in other states. Manage. I think for home users, the best thing to do is use the Windows software, Windows Defender. That's probably the best you can do for home users. I don't know that any third-party ones are any enhancement over that for the home user market. I don't spend a lot of time in the home user market, so. Are FS switches any good? Serve the Home did a review of the FS series switches. I don't know that I'd buy one for commercial use or not. They're okay. I would, if you're trying to be on a budget, I would probably say MikroTik probably fits budget. They're quirky, but they work. Yeah. I know if you're really needing 25 gig, I think MikroTik is probably the one company that kind of fits that budget for 25 gig stuff. It's hard to find a good company here in Central Ohio to run wire, hang cameras, and hang APs. Yeah, kind of. It's just people. It's hard to find people that want to pay what it takes to run a good company. The reality is, when you start looking at cost around $300 a drop, people go into a panic. But if you want quality work and quality people, and you want to have techs that are paid well, that make, a good wage, you're going to have to charge for it. And that's just how it works. So it's one of those, You can find the people. It's can you afford the people? Does it make sense? And it does. Yes, it does add up. Someone goes, "Oh, I want 100 drops at $300 a drop." You're like, "Yeah, that project's going to be expensive." They're like, "That seems like way too much." Well, if you want the quality work, or you want to hire a lesser company, and that's what people often do, yes. I've reviewed before the Aruba Instant On a few years ago. The portal doesn't look much different. The one thing I will say I like about, not all of it, but a lot of their Instant On stuff, like their switches and some of their APs, is if Aruba changes their mind about their free portal, you can log in and do local management with them. The part that's stupid to me is Aruba makes a confusing product, because if you were to read the specs of their switch, you're like, "Hey, these are awesome. Look at all these features." Oh, if I plug it into your cloud, the features go away. I don't understand that. Like, the switches have more features than the cloud enables. So you take them out of the cloud to have better management of them. That's a confusing sell to me. Do you think I don't know your skill set. Check job listings to see if your skill set aligns with a job, and what you can afford here. I don't know what it's like to come to America, but I imagine it's expensive, because America is a very broad topic in terms of what median income is. And so this is kind of a quick segue here. So if you look towards, where's a good way? In US. These are some interesting numbers here. Share this tab real quick just to give people an idea. America is such a broad country that when you start digging into the median incomes of different cities, it is wildly different. But it's not like, "Oh, cool, I'll move that city because I'll make more money." You start realizing that, oh, it costs a lot to live in those cities. 10 cities with the highest salaries here. You'll find some places where the median income is really, really high, but the cost of living is wild. And that may not be a good fit for you coming to the US. So I'll just throw it out there. Like, go do some research, because you'll find some pretty wild numbers there. Is it true that White House, there's a lot of nuance to that. Lots of places are dropping the degree requirements, which it's about time. The degree requirements aren't necessarily, there's divergent thinkers who you will find in the hacking community and things like that. You'll find a lot of them don't have degrees and don't want degrees. And if that's you're going to have a hard time attracting talent if that's your big barrier for a lot of it. Yeah, I know it's I don't know how to do it. Immigration on a work visa is hard, is what I've heard from my friend. I do have a couple people here on work visas that I know. I know it's complicated. I don't know. It's not. I was born here, so I don't. It's not something I have to deal with. Is cyber on hype? Well, yes, no. I see people complain about it a lot. The challenge with cybersecurity is, cool, you got a certificate that says you know how to do the thing. My friend who works he's in the Fortune 500 world of big cybersecurity company with big teams. Their challenge is they always have job openings, and these jobs pay $150,000, $170,000 a year. People come in, they have allegedly a resume that says they can do the job. And then within a few months, he will realize they are absolutely incapable of doing that job. They said they did it. They have some type of certification. They claim they have a few years of experience, but their actual understanding of the job just isn't there. It's the hard thing to do because it's hard. You can pass they pass an interview. They seem to answer the questions well, but their functional ability to do a very complicated cybersecurity job as a threat researcher, as someone who's managing something very complex like that, becomes like watching them work. Yeah, it's hard. It's why it's we don't have good tools right now to vet people very well for the position. It's still a challenge. Not it's not a mature enough business, and it's also such a moving business, so it's not an easy task. But one of the reasons I brought up some of the median income things is when I tell people what I pay for my house versus what you would pay for my house if it was an hour north of here, my house is 1/3 the value where it sits now than it would be if it was about an hour north of here because of the discount. And it's only about an hour, maybe an hour and a half away. Some counties here in Michigan, I happen to live in the cheap part of town. So it's kind of cool. I can have a nice house and a nice property and a reasonable price. But if you go to I'm in what they call Wayne County, Southern Wayne County. But if you move to Oakland County, you will pay substantially more for the same thing that I have. So yeah, it's a very big difference here in the US. So remote jobs are awesome. If you can remotely, and this is one of the reasons we like, is advantage people have a remote. They can get that high pay of a particular job, but then they can live remotely somewhere that has a lower cost of living. And I'm on the lower cost of living side. It varies greatly from city to city. If you look at real estate markets, man, it's just you go to realtor.com and start punching in, look up the city so you know what cities to look for. But if you do realtor.com and start looking in my city versus if you were looking in California at some of the Silicon Valley adjacent areas, dramatic different in home prices. Yeah, Westland's not that far from me. I'm in Southgate, Michigan. That's where my store in business. My business address as you can still Google it and find it. It's not hidden. So I had someone talked about that before, and I still have old pictures of my store on there. But yeah, you can see my address is right here. It's still listed for things. That's where people ship things to me. You're in Ohio and you've never made it to Michigan. Don't worry, you're not. Well, it's a good vacation spot. We got a lot of lakes here. Love look at your garden, your videos. Oh, yeah. Seeing as I'm way off topic now, I don't even know what we're talking about. We're talking about gardens now. And if you say garden, I think that means you're in the UK. UK and other European places seem to say that more. We just call it like yard here in we just refer to our yard is how I would say it. But that is my backyard. So I have not huge. I'm only on about a little bit less than an acre of property. So, but that's where I sit and do some of the live stream stuff. Occasionally, I've done a couple of them outside. This is a fall picture. It's spring right now, so it doesn't look like this. Top dollar is important as finding a job and home you enjoy, build up the resume you want. Yes. Happiness is one of those things. Yep. Lawn. I call it the lawn, yard or lawn. Yes. Really, he's got a bird watching channel. That's awesome. Even as an American, when I hear yard, I picture a walled dirt patch, prisoners. Yes. Marching in a circle. Yes. Yes. Backyard. I think, yeah. this is another, well, this is before it was finished, but it's like another angle. This is when you're first pouring the cement for all this now too. I got to take new pictures because we've actually put a few new things back there that I don't have pictures of. There's now a shed over here and some other stuff, and a few other things. Time to go mow the lawn. Yes. Would you run TrueNAS on bare metal or XCP-ng? I always recommend running TrueNAS on TrueNAS on bare metal all the time. Definitely recommend it. I saw a job posting for $300K in New York City and said, is that enough? Yes. If you live in New York City, it takes a whole lot more. So we do not do that at the new house. We did that at the old house. So my old house, yes, we absolutely destroyed printers back there. Since I moved, we don't do that here. Yeah, I almost did. My wife was cutting the grass. I wanted to do this live stream outside, but my wife was cutting the grass today, so I didn't. But such is life. What are you going to do? I think that's it. That's all my off-topic things I'm sharing. I am going to go be outside. Oh, I think the Forbidden Router is fun. It's a number of problems people have with it that kind of, it's not impossible to make it work. It's one of those, it can work. It's a matter of the extra expertise. Here's generally, and it's not to make too many assumptions about people, but the people who ask if they should probably shouldn't because they don't have the experience. If your goal is to have an experience of the learning curve of running something virtualized, such as a firewall or TrueNAS, go for it. Coming into it knowing you're going to have maybe not the best experience, and you're going to, if you don't know how TrueNAS works at all, don't do it. But if you're familiar with TrueNAS, you're familiar with the thing you're going to virtualize prior to virtualizing it, awesome. Because then you'll know if the problem is because of the virtualization or because of the product. But if you try to virtualize very unfamiliar products that are generally designed to run on bare metal, well, now you have a different challenge. But yeah, time to go outdoors. And thanks everyone for joining. This was a lot of fun. We went for quite a while today. What did we go for? Hour and 36 minutes. Not bad. One day we'll do that 404, 4 hours and 4 minute one. So yeah, there's lots of ways you can virtualize it. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying if you're a new person starting out and you don't know how insert name of firewall works, if you're not familiar with the firewall and you start with the virtualized version of it, you may not have the best time if you're not familiar with how that works. That's all. Just make sure you've learned it on some hardware and go, oh, I get how this works. Move it to virtualization. And you're like, oh, I get how this works. And life is good. All right. Thanks, everyone. And take care.